what am I? I am the director of the Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation here in the Management Department of the Gordon Ford College of Business. You try to remember all of that and see how it goes. We're very excited that you are here. Also with us from the center, Mr. Chris Schell, who is our executive in residence, and Dr. Whitney Peak, who is our Vitality Professor of Entrepreneurship, and Elises Collins, who is our student worker. I'd also like to introduce or recognize our department chair, Dr. Paula Potter, who is in the back, and there are several other faculty and staff here as well. Thank you very much for supporting us and being here. Before we get going, I wanted just to remind you of a few things. We have our Topper Tank Pitch Competition next Tuesday. The deadline for entry into that is today at 11:59 p.m. If you go to our website, which is just very simply www.wku.edu/CEI for Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation, you can find the entry form. It just needs to be emailed to us by the end of the day or by midnight tonight, and then Topper Tank will be next Tuesday. It's lots of fun. You come, you have an idea, 90 seconds in front of a judge, and you can rock and roll, right guys? And win money too, so that's a good thing. Also, our next speaker is Sarah Noose of Tippy Toes. She was a Shark Tank competitor, and so we're really excited to have her to come and speak with us too. And then finally, we have our WKU business plan competition. That's a little bit more structured and involved than Topper Tank is. We think Topper Tank's just kind of fun and we really like doing it, but this we take a little bit more seriously. We have a series of workshops for you to attend that help you learn how to build your business plan and communicate it and work with the financials. And then we have an initial round and a final round. Competitors who get to the final round have an opportunity to go on to Ideas Day U. And I like to brag that one of our students a couple of years ago won $35,000 and started his own business. So there's some real potential payoffs if you start with us in the WKU Business Plan Competition. And I have the schedule over there by the water and cookies if you would like more information on that. Okay, so today's format is basically going to be our presentation from our speaker, and then we're going to open it up to general questions and answers from you all. And then we're going to break and have one-on-one time where you can talk with our speaker and enjoy our lovely cookies and lemonade. And the whole thing we plan to be done with by about 5 o'clock, so we'll give you an hour of really good stuff. How does that sound? All right, Jason Heflin would be classified as a serial entrepreneur. However, you may best know him from his partnership in White Squirrel Brewery. Did you know that's where he was a partner? Okay, those of you over 21, right? Okay. He is also owner and partner of Crowd South, which is a team of marketers for web design and social media and other marketing efforts using inventive and creative marketing strategies for the benefit of all. How's that sound? Do you like that?
Benefit of all.
Yeah, how about that? That was my touch. Okay. I know him best, though, as a WKU alum and as a former student. Jason was a student of mine. Can I say the year?
Yeah, sure.
1997. He was my student when I was a professor in the marketing department here. And he and 26 other students and I and another professor went to Ireland for an international marketing class. And we had lots of fun and learned a lot. And I won't tell any stories if you won't.
Okay.
Okay. Jason is going to talk to you today about realistic expectations. We all see those self-made millionaires and think that could be us one day. But the reality and that path may not be exactly like that. It may in fact be very different. So let's hear what Jason has to say about getting real with entrepreneurship. Will you please help me welcome Jason?
Thanks. So we were, do you still do those classes?
I have not.
Okay. Does anyone else do the marketing?
I think that there, yes. Yes, there are. Dr. Potter has been on one from the management department with the econ, and I think Dr. Myers, Dan Myers, several.
Cool. I highly recommend it if anyone is considering it. Study abroad is very impactful, and for me it was probably I probably learned more in that class than I learned in all of my other, all of my other focused coursework put
Because I
together.
was the teacher.
But probably mostly because it was you, yeah. But yeah, I mean, you get real world experience, you get to interview people who are doing the job. We actually, we're part of a focus group for the Irish tourism department, helping them decide what marketing materials, what advertising campaign to serve to the US market. So they used us to make that decision for them, which was really fun. I remember sitting through an hour of 3-minute, commercial videos that they were debating on which one to use in this market. So it was fun.
Yeah.
But we got to do some real world things. So getting real is the topic for today. I kind of struggled with the subject, but the dark side of being an entrepreneur and how to navigate failure. And the point there being that we're going to fail. We all fail regularly, daily. But with entrepreneurism, it's it's a risk. Everything we do when starting a business is a risk. So failing is going to be part of the process, and it's often overlooked. People talk about success, they talk about the path to success, but they don't talk about what happens when you hit a wall. So that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today. So who is this guy? Well, she gave a little bit of background on me. I'm a Western alum. I walked through my career, and I've had sort of 3 stages. First being the early corporate life. So as soon as I graduated, I immediately jumped into a corporate job, and I sat in a cubicle for about 12 years. So during that time, I learned, how to do business, and I learned how not to do business. So that's sort of the key with cutting your teeth right out of school is you learn a lot, but you also learn what not to do. And when those people fail, they fail on a very big scale. The 2 companies that are listed there, Camping World's still viable. They're actually about to attempt to go public on the stock market. Affinity, the second company, was the business that I worked for. It was the parent company of Camping World and is now non-existent. So they failed. And they had their own bank, they had their own insurance company. It was a massive conglomerate. So failure happens on all sorts of scales. So learning how to avoid that or how to deal with it is going to be very important. The second phase of my career was the early startup phase, and that was basically me playing around and dabbling with some different things. The first business that I did was diaperbags.com, which was an odd choice for a 20-something to start a diaper bag company. But it was the birth of e-commerce, and everyone was selling something online, and no one was selling diaper bags. So my business partner at the time and I was still working at Camping World. We formed that company, and it did really well, surprisingly. It was sort of that magic, we were in that magic spot where nobody was operating. So it just consumed all my free time. So I sold my piece of the business out to him, and then he ended up selling his piece of the business to a company called Hay Needle, which at the time was the 2nd largest e-commerce company in the world next to Amazon. So that was a really fun exercise in learning time management, because working a 40-hour week and then going home and working another 40-hour week was a challenge. So definitely no amount of money is really worth that long term, for me anyway. After that, I formed a company called Outdoorsy, which was in the early days of social media, again trying to stay ahead of the trends. So MySpace was a thing then, Facebook was just getting started. This is Chad Webb.
Hello.
Chad Webb was actually a very timely entrance, was my partner in Outdoorsy. So we ran that company for about 2 years. We developed this really intricate sort of social media platform that did all the things that MySpace and Facebook did back then. It was probably overkill, but we took that to a point. We were selling ad space on it, just starting to really make money selling ad space, and again, sort of time constraints hit, and we had an offer to buy it, so we sold it. After that, I became vice president of marketing for about a year for this startup called Cool Computer Bags, which was sort of a throwback to the diaperbags.com concept, and they were selling laptop bags, and they did very well. But at a certain point, they turned a corner, and essentially we had some exclusive products and things no one else had. And what happened is our buddy Amazon.com started selling those products, made a deal with those manufacturers, and we weren't the only place to get that anymore. So at that point, I moved on, and they moved on and sold the company to a company out of Dallas, Texas. And then Backcountry Communications was sort of floating along during all this, and that was sort of where I funneled through all the businesses. And I did some travel writing. I had a journalism major, marketing minor, so I did some travel writing at that time, and a lot of consulting, a lot of marketing consulting. So that was that phase. And then that transitioned into Crowd South. Chad and I got together at lunch one day, and he was doing work for a company out of London, England, doing software release, and he had just left that company and was ready for a change. So I was telling him that I was sort of overworked with all my freelance and consulting work, and I thought there was a real opportunity, especially with social media, managing social media. And so he jumped on board, and we took that to where it is today. So that company's been in existence for about 3 years, and we have about 10 people on our team. We operate here locally, but we also serve companies all over, whoever knocks on the door. White Squirrel Brewery, that is a restaurant and brewery. The restaurant is a small location here in town, and the brewery serves locations throughout the state. So we ship our product to Nashville in Tennessee, up to Cincinnati in Ohio, and all points between Lexington, Louisville, Danville, Owensboro, Paducah. So that one's grown fairly quickly. It's just a little over a year old, so still trying to figure out how everything works. There's a lot of legality in alcohol sales and distilling, so I'm really excited about the brewing program that Western offers now. It's obviously going to be an opportunity for us to hire people from that. And then Caribou Ventures, which is sort of a silent company, but that's another company that Chad and I own together, and that's a real estate company which owns a whopping one piece of real estate so far. So, but we own the building that we operate Crowd South out of, so we did that together to own that building, and then we're in the process of working toward buying a second piece of property. So commercial real estate right now, but we'll see where it takes us. So that's sort of where I came from and who I am. And then here are the points that I wanted to talk through today. So they kind of bounce around, but for the most part, they focus on negative things that can happen when moving through the process of becoming an entrepreneur, or while you are an entrepreneur. The first one is cutting your teeth. There's a reason that painful analogy is used, and I'll go back to my time in the corporate world at Camping World and Affinity, sitting in a cubicle for 12 years. It was painful and it was hard, and I had lots of ideas and no one wanted to listen to me. So those things are difficult, but what you do learn is you learn process, and you learn how to create something from nothing. And that's what you learn in those places. You learn how to communicate, corporate communications. You learn proper email etiquette and meeting etiquette and all sorts of things. So those things are key. If you jump straight into being an entrepreneur going out of school, you'd have a rocky period trying to learn all those things. So that's why working for someone else, at least for a little while, is always important, to kind of learn under their tutelage and try to understand, try to absorb their knowledge, but also learn from their mistakes. So cutting your teeth is important, and it's again, it can be painful. It can be fun too, but it's definitely part of the process. Relationships, they are everything, and I really mean that. You have to be social even when it hurts. Early on, I kind of stayed in my cubicle. I mingled around the building, and I stayed inside my company and with our vendors. I didn't really interact with other businesses so much outside of my industry. But now that I'm more on a local level, as far as the businesses that I own, I have to interact regularly. So I'm a member of the Chamber of Commerce and the Professional Marketing Association. I'm a volunteer on boards, board member for WKU's alumni board, and try to be involved wherever I can. So those things are key. All those people are part of your network. They become your clients. They become your customers. Every single thing that I'm involved in, a customer has emerged from that at some point. So It's very important to be involved and to be social. If you're not out and about, especially as an entrepreneur, it's going to be hard to meet the right people that are going to be able to help you make the next move. Playing with concepts is the other one that I want to talk about next, and that's basically failing makes you better, which is the theme of this whole talk. Playing with concepts as in diaper bags did not excite me, selling diaper bags. So my partner came up with that idea, and it was basically because no one else was doing it, and there was money in it. There was a high margin. So financially it made sense. So he came to me and said, I've got it, we're going to sell diaper bags. And I said, diaper bags, okay. Convince me why we should do that. And so he showed me the numbers and everything made sense on paper, so we did. So playing with concepts, so trying things, you know, you may not have it all figured out in the beginning, but just try something. Even if it's small, even if it has no budget, just give it a shot. See what happens. Opinions are like, there's a saying that goes along with that, and it's true, but it's also important when you're starting something. Get multiple points of view in your concept. You're going to have pessimists who are going to tell you don't do it, it's a waste of money, it's a waste of your time. That you're going to have optimists who are going to just tell you whatever you want to hear, and you need to filter through all that. It's the realists that you want to land on, the people that say, well, that's a great idea, but how are you going to get the money, or how are you going to get the product shipped, or who are you going to talk to about delivering the message or marketing, those sorts of things. Somebody who will help you think through the things that you don't think through. And Chad and I work really well together that way, and I'm very blessed to have a partner like him because he comes in and creates a different point of view that I probably would never have thought of. And so where I see something a certain way, he'll come in and look at it a totally different way, and it'll change the way I see it. So I'll move forward differently based on what he says. So having that is very important. Being open to adjusting your brand. So whatever that brand is, whether it's a product or a service that you're selling, be okay with changing it. So nothing ever is fully flushed the minute that you come up with the idea. It's actually very unflushed, and it needs to change probably. So those opinions that we just talked about are very important. I have a friend who owns a Mexican restaurant in Nashville, and he opened it several years ago, right next to university campus. And so he opened this thing, you know, he's a chef, he's really sort of into the art of cooking, you know, grows his own vegetables, harvests his own hog, all that sort of thing. So he was really into doing this really unique, high-end concept, and he launched it, and sales were terrible. And he didn't understand, you know, he had these amazing pork tacos and this chorizo, queso dip and all these things. But what he learned was that his customer was not who he thought it was. His customer wanted dollar margaritas and free cheese dip every Friday, and you know, that's what they want. So he said, and he was smart, so he changed the whole thing. He just chucked that menu and you know, created those dollar margaritas, happy hours, and that sort of thing. And now it works. It's very viable, and it does really, really well. He's continually expanding and growing the business. So you have to do that. You can't stick to the original plan. You have to be flexible. Running lean. So that's another thing. And what running lean means is, especially early, is just being really tight with your money. Money's not easy to get for most people anyway. Some people are lucky enough to have an endless fund, but most of us don't. So when I mean running lean, I mean avoid loans early. A great tool for early growth is a line of credit. If you find a banker that you trust, you can get a line of credit. You don't have to borrow all the money, you just borrow what you need. And then if you need a little bit more the next month, that's okay, and you can pay that down as you want. So it's sort of a flexible, expanding and contracting loan. And they can take equity from the rest of your life. You could maybe get a $5,000 line of credit based on your car, because they know they can take your car if you don't pay it. But that's the risk you take in starting a business. But those sorts of tools are great for starting a business. So you're going to need your banker later in life. You're going to need that person to loan you the $100,000, the $500,000 loan that you need to really do the full idea or the next idea. So save those credits up for the day that you need that. And early on, just test ideas in as many free ways as you can. There are a lot of ways to advertise for free through digital marketing and social media. There are a lot of people probably in your own life right now that would be willing to help you just get it started. Doing good work, that's another point I have on here. Product or service must be unique, must work, and create value. That's sort of just the base of a good business. But it really does mean something. You have to do good work. You have to put out a quality product. There's too many options out there. People don't want junk, so they will immediately move on to someone else. Customer loyalty is almost a thing of the past. So you have to be the best at what you do, or pretty close to it. Finding a mentor. So good people surround themselves with great people and learn from their wins and losses. And that is key. I have 2 or 3 people that I lean on heavily for advice in different areas. And it's critical. You have to have someone to bounce ideas off. You can't go it alone. Even if you don't have a partner, you have to have somebody that will listen to you and tell you when you're wrong. That's the important thing. They'll just say flat out, that's a terrible idea, that's not going to work. You need to change that or something. Or they'll tell you it's a good idea and they'll help you fine tune it. So those are usually people. I like to look for mentors who are ahead of me in my career. There are also those people who are at the same stage that you can look to, sort of a peer group. But the mentor factor is going to really play big. Look for people who have been successful at something and are willing to talk about their failures, because the whole point of this talk anyway is failure. And if they can tell you how they failed, and you can pay really good attention to that and take good notes, then you'll be able to learn from those mistakes. Partnerships, ruining friendships and killing dreams and building companies. So partnerships are key. I've been in several partnerships. The fact that Chad and I have partnered on multiple businesses says something. We work well together. Again, we're sort of two different, we think 2 different ways, and he adjusts me when I'm off course. I kind of have the tendency to just start running, and he kind of slows me down and says, well, hold on, let's think about this for a second. And so we kind of get it fine-tuned and right that way. So you may be able to run a business without a partner by using mentors, by using your peer group, but it's going to be a lot easier if you have a partner and somebody who complements you. So think about the things you're really good at and be honest with yourself. And think about the things that you're really bad at and be honest with yourself, and find someone who is good at the things that you are not good at. That person will be invaluable. And honest. You need an honest person, someone who's gonna be fair with you. So moving on is the last point here. Moving on is a very important step. Knowing when to cut your losses or get out while the getting's good, or to, like I said, change the direction of the brand if you have to. So, like I mentioned, some of these businesses no longer exist. Diaperbags.com exists, but it's part of that Hay Needle network, and that URL it just directs you to Hay Needle, which is like Amazon. Outdoorsy exists, but it's not a social media platform anymore. The new owner turned it into a blog. Cool Computer Bags does exist, but I know that it's not doing very well. It's losing money. Backcountry Communications, my company, I just completely deleted it one day when I moved over to Crown South. So I was done with it, ready to move on. I rolled those clients into this business and we just kept moving. And I know I mentioned earlier, but Affinity, that's a $500 million company. It's $500 million a year. It's gone. It was gone in a day. Another company came in and said, we're going to start doing this, and you guys are gone. And Chad and I worked there together. That's where we originally met. And we actually had a conference call with them the other day. We're going to be building a couple websites for the new people who run the business. And the guys that we used to work with, all those people, some of them are still there, but I would say the majority of them are gone. They lost their jobs. So it's a very, business is a very fragile ecosystem, and it all depends on making the right decisions and avoiding the wrong decisions. So that's the key to this discussion today, which is the whole dark side, which is failure, and being okay with it, learning from it. So I'll end it today on failure is a detour. So this is a quote from Dennis Waitley, who is an inspirational speaker. He's a business guru kind of guy. But he says, failure should be our teacher, not our undertaker. Failure is delay, not defeat. It is a temporary detour, not a dead end. Failure is something we can avoid only by saying nothing, doing nothing, and being nothing. So as a final thought, I'd just like to say that if you don't be afraid of failure. It's a tool. Use it. Take it. Own your failures. Talk about them with other people. It'll help you become a better person. I'm happy to talk about my failures because they got me where I am today. So it's something you should pull out as a tool. It's something you can connect with people on, peers and mentors alike. And if you can get those people to open up about it, you can learn from their failures. So it's a very, success is great, but failure is right there behind it as far as a learning tool. So that's what I have for you today. And so I guess now I'll take questions.
Yes.
And then
Yes, so let's take a few questions. Who has a question? Can your own cohort ask a question?
yeah, a few of the people that work with me in Crowd South are here today. So
Do you want to introduce them so quickly?
sure, I have to stand up. Catherine. Catherine is a social media account rep. Shelby is a social media account rep. Jason Marshall sitting in the back. Boo. Jason Marshall's a project manager, sort of do-it-all kind of guy. And then Chad Webb, my business partner. So so that's some of the team. But
They're all alums.
they're all
I was
Western
just
alums.
going to say, I know two of them are, but I didn't know. That's
Yeah.
very cool.
And then the most important part of the team is my wife, Dawn.
Yes,
sitting back here.
yes. Oh, wow.
It should have been a bullet point. You really need to find a good partner who is okay with the years when you're not making any money. Supporting you. Someone steady.
Well, you know how Western pays. We could afford it.
Yeah. The reality of entrepreneurism is you're going to make, you might make $100,000 in a year, and you might make -15. So be ready for that. That's always fun. But we, and the great thing about the people that I work with at Crowd South is they're all very versatile people, and they're willing to try new things. So we do video, we do commercial shoots every now and then for clients, and when we do, it's, we have to, we're not paying actors at the scale we're on, so.
I've actually seen Jason fly to Atlanta.
Yeah, he flew to Atlanta without ever leaving the ground.
I know, it's pretty
It was
cool.
all shot on a plane that wasn't the actual plane that,
Oh, it wasn't even the actual plane. Oh, I was hoping it was.
the magic of movies.
Yes.
So, what questions do you guys have?
I have one. What would you say is your most valuable thing that you've learned from a failure? So, like, what's the lesson most learned in an instance where you experienced failure?
I think it's probably, I go back to all these, but I think it's probably knowing when to get out, like I said earlier. It's a really important thing. You can stick, because it's kind of like, breaking up with your partner. It's like, you really don't want to do it, it's really going to be terrible, this is going to suck so bad. And so you avoid it maybe for a week or a month or a year, and you're just miserable, and they're probably miserable too. And then you finally break up with them, and then it's okay. Everything's better instantly. So, knowing when to get out, I think, is the right thing. I stuck around in the corporate world probably a little longer than I should have. I was there about 12 years, and again, I learned so much. I traveled all over. All over the country. Met a lot of great people and learned a lot of things. But I was probably ready about 2 years before I left to go do my own thing. And I was already experimenting. I was already doing drbags.com and outdoorsy and other little things on the side. So, I think that for me anyway, like knowing when to get out, like when something's failing, even if it's an entrepreneurial project, you can see the writing on the wall sometimes. And you can't, sometimes it's your fault or it's your business partner's fault, and sometimes it's just the environment or the market. Like I said, like Cool Computer Bags, when Amazon started selling their product, that they had exclusive, not a contract, which is an issue. but they had exclusive rights to, they didn't have a contract on it. That whole product line, I mean, what were they gonna do? They can't battle Amazon. So sometimes it's out of your control, so, you know, have fun while it lasts, and then know when to get out and do the next thing, or change whatever you're doing.
I have a question, and it's kind of a follow-up, if I may. I was reviewing an email exchange, actually, that you had with Dr. Peak about your topics, and I was struck by, the comment that you made there, that for some entrepreneurs, it's not about being the next billionaire.
Mhm.
It's about having the passion to follow your dreams and do exciting things every day. Could you just speak to that?
Sure,
for a
yeah,
minute?
so being an entrepreneur, owning a business is gonna be more work. You're gonna work harder and longer hours, and you're gonna make less money than you would if you worked for someone else. That's just a fact, at least in the beginning, in the early days. So you have to be passionate about it. You have to wanna do it. You have to want that lifestyle, you know, to control your own destiny. And that's some of the appeal to me is, and it's sort of a double-edged sword. I make my own schedule. I do what I want all day long, but mostly that stuff's really hard work. So it's good and bad. But I just like always having a new challenge or a new problem to try to solve, and that's fun. And then having, you kind of pick the people that you're around. You don't have, so if you hate your boss at your job, then you're screwed. What are you gonna do? I mean, they're your boss. You can't fire them. You can't hire someone new. But when you own a business, you can do that. You control everything. Even in the agency environment, we do we control our clients. We're probably not as tight as we should be, but if we have a client that's a jerk, I mean, we can just fire them. We usually try to make it work, but we could, and we have. So, you know, you can control your own destiny to a certain extent, and that's what I love about it. Instead of having to be in a certain place at a certain time and with certain people all the time, you cannot change that. There's no way out. It's sort of a trap in a way, but it is the right path for some people, and it's very uniform, and you know what to expect. If you don't like the unexpected, don't start your own business. So,
Other questions?
what else?
What was one of the biggest risks that you had to take that, turned out to work out?
It was probably when I left my corporate job. I had a nice big fat salary and benefits and, you know, all sorts of, again, I traveled on the company's dime all the time, and it was fun. And it was very secure. So leaving that was hard. Having a wife that supported me and said, no problem, we'll figure it out, do what you gotta do to be happy. She saw how miserable I was. So that was very important. So that was probably a critical turning point. And then learning that I was probably wasting a lot of that money I was making and wasting all that free time that I had. So, you know, I made a lot of money, but somehow it was all gone. And when I made less money and had less time, somehow I enjoyed myself more and had more money at the end of the day. So it was a really weird equation, but I wasted, it was like, it seemed like an endless fountain of you know, money and benefits and resources when you're at a big company, when you're at a $500 million company. You know, I controlled a $3 million budget there, and I could ask for $50,000 if I wanted it, and just fill out a form, and I had it. So, and then, you know, you learn to really control your dime when you're running a company. Instead of a $50 billion, a $500 million company, you're running a $50,000 company. That's a different thing. So you really control every piece, and you really want to make sure everything works perfectly, and if it doesn't, get rid of it. Whereas there was just a lot of fluff.
So like you were saying, when you left that job, what was your title?
I was a manager, so I was a management level. So at that company, there were analysts and entry-level people, and then there was sort of a mid-level management. There was management, directors, and VPs. So part of the process there too was I was kind of passed over. I was promised a position, didn't get it, and I was just mad. And so that kind of angered me. So that kind of fueled the fire right there toward the end when I was ready to move on anyway. So it really helped me make that decision. But Yeah, so, I mean, I had probably been, but I got promotions probably every 2 or 3 years in that job. And so it was like a carrot. They just kept throwing these little things at me. And right when I was ready to leave, I'd usually get another $5,000 a year or something. Like, ooh, sweet. I could do something with that. I could upgrade my car. I could, but again, I would just immediately throw that away. As soon as I got it, throw it away. I'd do something. Go on a big vacation, something. So, but again, like I said when I spoke, I mean, it's very important to cut your teeth somewhere, even if it's for another entrepreneur, and that may be even if you want to start your own business, the best way to do it. Somebody who's running a small business and struggling and learning those ropes, and you can kind of learn right along with them without wasting your time and money.
With something like diaper bags, even though that's something that you might have an interest in, the product specifically, how did you stay excited and motivated? Was it the business aspect of that?
Yeah, we were all, I like to learn new things and do something different, and so we were always doing something different. So we would start, I remember we started spending, once we started making money, we started spending some of that on a Google ad campaign. And so I was running that, and I had a lot of fun learning how to do it and getting better at it and driving traffic to the website. We redesigned the website at one point, and we paid a lot of money. Some guy in California, now that I build websites, I know we way overpaid. But we paid a lot of money to this guy in California, and that was a fun process going through the creative piece. So there was always something new and different to kind of keep me excited. The part I didn't like was that half our business was drop ship, so other people were shipping the product for us. We just placed the orders, we were like a middleman. And the other half of the business were those hard to find products, the ones that Amazon eventually picked up. And those we would order directly from the manufacturer in China, and they would ship them to us. And so our guest bedroom became a shipping department. So we had our guest bed was like the table, and we would, I mean, it was all just laid out. And we, every day, go home from work, print all the orders out of the inventory system, go over to the warehouse across the hall, and my wife did it for a summer, and just, I mean, it was wearing us out. But I mean, it was a good problem, as they say. Good problems are still problems. So we, we eventually cut away from that, sold out. But it was learning new things was great. So that was the thing that kept me involved. The thing that probably drove me away was, again, the time commitment, like working all day and then going home and working until 10 o'clock at night. So.
Any other questions? Do any of the Crowd South people want to say anything? Add to what Jason was saying? Got a room full of students who are very interested to hear what it's like.
I was just gonna say, so he had an intern, when he was an undergrad, he had an internship, and that's where he got on with the corporation. I think that's very important with this program, right, in finding internships as a student.
Yeah.
Because that was definitely fantastic for us.
Yeah, I did 2 internships when I was in school. One for a local nonprofit, where I wrote the newsletter and did some marketing stuff, planted trees, whatever they needed me to do. And then the other one was in the corporate world, where I was a data entry. I just sat at a keyboard and just typed things in all day.
But it got him a full-time job, I mean, got him a job, he got hired with the company and started moving up. So.
Yeah, back to that being social thing, I kind of made friends with a few of the guys above me, and then when I graduated, they were like, we want you to come work for us.
And if you're in the College of Business, and I imagine all students, we do have an internship coordinator, Ms. Monica Duvall. She's new, our office is straight down this hallway, and it is her job to help you find internships.
So right now, Crowd South, you all have some, can you maybe tell them about the internships?
We have 2 interns in the office now. One is a web design intern. One is a social media intern. So it's not always the most glamorous work, but it's a really great learning experience. We've got another position that we're about to hire, which is a web design. It might be a full-time, might be an intern. Just depends on what comes around. But so if anyone's interested in that sort of thing, let us know. Let me know before you leave today. And I'd love to see a resume. But we're always looking and talking to people about opportunities. So we over the last 3 years, we went from 2 people to basically 10 people. So it's a great It's a great thing to grow. It's a hard thing to manage, but we've enjoyed it. So yeah, I mean, I think the internships are key. They were for me, and it was a part of my path. But it's not always for everybody. But I think it's a great thing to put on your resume.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, prioritize, as a student, it's a very unique time because you haven't gone out and got your first job yet, your first full-time job. So in your life stage right now, prioritize what you think is gonna be most important to you. So, for example, in my previous position, I might have made a little bit more money, but in my current job with Crowd South, with Chad and Jason, they really care about me as an employee. The hours are flexible, although I might not be making as much. The benefits, you know, they volunteered to like fix my phone screen. I haven't gotten to do that yet. They volunteered to, you know, fix my flat tire. So it's just little ways. So if what's most important to you is a corporate ladder and positions and opportunity to move up, then that might steer you in a different direction than a smaller media startup. Or if money is most important to you, then you know it's not going to be a small media startup. But I'm extremely happy where I am, and I'm very glad that I work with Chad and Jason. It's a great opportunity.
Heather is not only our account rep, but she's also Vice President of Social Experiences at Crowd South. So
Yeah, social enrichment. Like I get to like tomorrow, for example, I'll go out to lunch and doing the Blazing Challenge at B-Dubs. I don't know if y'all know about that. Yeah, 12 traditional wings in 6 minutes. They're hot of size. Yeah. So and like we had Dog Day about a month ago, and so like these are the little nuggets that keep me at Crowd South and why I enjoy my job so much.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think that one thing that we've learned over the years, last 3 years, I guess, is it's really important. Let's make 2 points here. It's really important to hire the right people. I mean, because the environment that we're trying to create here is I would basically say the opposite of where we were at Affinity Group. With that being said, like Don was saying, and with Jason, like when I started Western in 98, 99, something like that, I don't remember. But all 4 years I had an internship where I worked 20 hours a week at Camping World at Affinity Group. And I just did that, and I got all kinds of class credit for it, but I did that with the mindset that I'm eventually gonna be out of Western. Western's super fun, super awesome, it's great, but I gotta start making real money one day. And I mean, like the interesting point of that is like, to me it's a double-edged sword, like, because I do think it's very important to get out and work at a real company. And I keep saying that thinking about like Catherine and Shelby, like our company is a real company. But I mean, like, but it's corporate environment, but I mean like, because I learned so much about running meetings, about having 7, 8, 9 people under me, about taking notes, about just managing clients, things like that in that environment. But at the end, when I was 10 years into that, and I'm 100% serious, they could have came to me and said, we will give you 3 times what you make now if you stay. And I was like, there's no way. Like, there's no amount of money. Because at some point in your life, you'll get to the point where you're like, it's either happiness or money. And those things can cross paths. And if you're able to find that where it crosses, it's very unique. But in any corporate environment, the amount of money that they pay you, more and more is expected of you, which means more and more hours. Hey, you know, you're a manager now. Why aren't you? Your employees are coming in on Saturday. Why aren't you coming in on Saturday? Things like that. That being said, like an internship is a great thing, and you should look for that because, like Jason said in this thing, you're going to have to cut your teeth somewhere. So that can either be, like Catherine said, at a small startup or at a corporate place. But there's also there's nothing wrong, like Jason was saying. There's nothing wrong with changing things when you're unhappy. I mean, and that's what we try to do at our place. And like Jason said, we fire clients, we fire just plans and things that we have to do. We're not going to do this. We're not going to do this today because of what's going on. Because I think for us, we want to be in a place where we're happy. And I don't know. Like not every company's like that. And like she said, she doesn't make as much money as she used to. But I love the fact that they're both there. I love the fact the team that we have is incredible, and I would, if I could pay them $200,000 a year, I would. But we can't. But that being said, I'm hoping that each day that they come in, that everyone's happy. And so I think that's important. I think it's very hard. Like sorry I keep rambling about this, but I just think like but no, it's important to me, because I think this is very important. Like, when I was up here at Western, I don't care if you guys aren't doing this, I was in the computer science department, you got these things that say, you're gonna get out, you're gonna make $120,000 a year, blah, 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 and that's not reality. I mean, the reality is, you're gonna get a starting salary, and that's fine. So, I just think, make sure that you manage your expectations on money and happiness in the same way. Because happiness is so important in life. And the great thing about Bowling Green and its location to E-Town, Louisville, Owensboro, Nashville is, another thing, you're able to take more chances here, because worst case scenario, you just have an hour drive to somewhere else for a job. If you can't get something in Bowling Green, you're gonna find something in Nashville. If you can't get something in Bowling Green. So I always think like that. If tomorrow everything burns to the ground, well, I'll just go get a real job in Nashville. No big deal. Like, so it's all good. So there's not a lot to.
Except now we own real estate together, so we're kind of married.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, like, yeah, Jason and I are never getting divorced, so. But,
I've
anyway.
been like this for a while.
Well, thank you all very much. Let's give Jason one more round. Appreciation. It's a center umbrella.
Thank you.
So we don't have to use it too much, but thank you so much.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I'll make one other thing I want to say is, this video today will be shown at in Moldova for a Peace Corps. Ray Sean, who's a friend of mine over there doing Peace Corps, he's doing a business tour, so he's teaching small business and practices, so he wanted a little bit of entrepreneurship, so I said, sure, I'll send this to you. But, so, hey Ray Sean.
So Jason will be hopefully around for just about another 10 minutes or so, and